Judge Vanderbeek, court is now in session. Judge, this is case number JVB 1011, Berkeley versus Alberts.
Thank you. Okay, you all may be seated. Okay, Miss or Mrs.? Miss Berkeley, you brought this case before the court. What's going on?
Your Honor, I'm here to get custody of my grandchild and also to make my or soon-to-be ex-son-in-law to pay the child support.
Get ready, because today's case is nothing short of a legal showdown. A determined grandmother steps into the courtroom demanding custody of her granddaughter, along with back child support from the father. The stakes? Sky high. The emotions? Even higher. Judge Bundy lays the groundwork, confirming the details before the grandmother makes her case. She claims she stepped up when the father walked away, and now wants the court to recognize her as the rightful guardian. But here's the twist. The law isn't on her side. The father has no legal obligation to her, making this a battle of principle versus policy. Can a grandmother override a biological parent simply because she believes it's the right thing to do? The judge has a tough decision ahead. Let's break it all down.
Diagnosed with lymphoma, and Your Honor, it was a long and difficult process, as you can imagine, and he wasn't up for it, and he left. And so I went and helped my daughter and helped my granddaughter through this process. And they had been legally separated. He was paying child support, but when my daughter did pass away, I checked into the account. I had access to her financial business, and I checked the account, and he was not putting the payment in there. So I am looking for the back payments that are due, and I am looking to get custody of my granddaughter.
Okay, so let me just make sure I'm clear. Your daughter is deceased now.
Yes, ma'am.
And my condolences.
Thank you.
You're pretty much trying to step into the shoes of your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I understand.
I think it would be far more appropriate for me to be raising the daughter than for him.
Okay, why do you believe it would be more appropriate?
He has a lifestyle that I don't necessarily think is best for raising children.
Okay, well, I guess I'll get that from him. Mr. Alberts?
Yes, Your Honor.
What's going on?
The grandmother holds nothing back as she lays out her case. She recounts her daughter's painful battle with lymphoma, the heartbreak, the struggle, and how in her eyes the father was nowhere to be found. She stepped up when he walked away, and now she's convinced she's the best option for custody. Then she shifts to finances. She insists the father stopped paying child support after her daughter passed, leaving the child without resources. But here's the legal snag. Child support was meant for the mother, not her. And with the mother gone, the judge is already spotting cracks in her argument. Finally, she takes aim at the father's lifestyle, accusing him of spending too much time in bars and relying too heavily on babysitters. But speculation isn't proof, and the judge is about to put every one of her claims to the test.
Great.
The fact that I bailed on my wife, our marriage was over a long time before that diagnosis, and we mutually agreed that I would pay child support, that I would support her financially, and I did until she died. And now there's no one to pay child support to, and I don't know why she's dragging me in here, trying to take my kids away from me, talking about my lifestyle, saying I didn't love my wife.
What lifestyle is she talking about?
I don't know. Ask her, Your Honor. I really don't know.
What lifestyle?
Well, he spends a lot of times in bars.
Okay.
A lot of time in bars. He spends a lot of money on babysitting because he spends a lot of time in bars.
Okay. Going to the bar is legal.
True, but who's going to be there to help with homework? Who's going to be there to hear the sad story of how she was bullied in class that day? A babysitter? I don't think so.
So, are you always at the bar and leaving the baby with a babysitter?
No, Your Honor. Anytime
How would she know that?
Maybe because I call every night to say goodnight to my granddaughter,
Okay.
and it's the babysitter that picks up the phone.
Okay, so you don't necessarily know whether he's there or not, right?
Well, why would there be a babysitter there if he's there?
Well, I don't know, but I'm just saying, you don't necessarily know if he's present or not. You just know that the babysitter picks up, right?
Yes. Okay, technically, yes.
Okay, well then technically you don't really know what he's doing unless you are actually at the...
Now, it's the father's turn to speak his truth. His first priority? Clearing up misconceptions. The marriage had ended well before the diagnosis. He didn't walk away from his wife. They had already gone their separate ways. That alone reshapes the emotional weight of the grandmother's claims. When it comes to child support, he stands his ground. He fulfilled his obligations while his ex-wife was alive, but legally, his payments ended with her passing. He's not evading responsibility. He's following the law. The judge is already seeing things his way. Then come the accusations about his lifestyle. The grandmother insists he's always out drinking, but how would she know firsthand? She wasn't there. She's relying on hearsay, and in court, speculation isn't enough. Only solid proof matters.
Really wrong, but that really has nothing to do with why we're here today. His child support should have stopped because there is no one to pay the child support to. Your granddaughter lived with your daughter, right? At
Yes.
the time of her death? Right, so you can't step into the shoes of your daughter. The only other living parent is dad.
True, but Dad was not around for the last 2 years. I was.
Right, but the child now has been living with dad since your daughter passed away, right?
Yes.
And when did your daughter pass away?
About a year ago.
Yeah, your rights are not superior over his in this particular case. There wouldn't be. There's no reason why he should be paying child support to you. You had access to the account that the money was going into because of your daughter. But now that she's deceased, there's no one to pay the child support to. So he should not be paying child support anymore. So he did the right thing. You just may not agree with it, but...
I do not agree with it, Your Honor.
Why do you need the money?
I don't need the money. I need to make sure that my granddaughter is getting everything that she deserves.
But how would you know that if she lives with him? Now, if she lived with you, that would be valid. But if she lives with him, you can't necessarily speculate and say what he is or he isn't doing.
Well, I know what my granddaughter tells me.
Well, we're not going to go into that because children aren't very honest all the time. And how old is this child?
6.
Yeah, they have a very big imagination. So, I can't do anything about that. He should not be paying child support. And I'm assuming you cover the child on health insurance?
Yes, Your Honor.
The only thing I can order, pretty much is that he maintains that child support, the medical support on the child, but other than that, and that's through your employer,
Yes.
that's all that he can be ordered to do. I'm not going to make him pay child support for a child that belongs to him and that lives in his house.
Fine.
Okay.
The law takes control. First order of business, child support denied. The judge wastes no time in clarifying. Without a legal recipient, the father has no obligation to continue payments. That argument, dismissed. Next, the custody battle. The grandmother pushes to become the primary guardian, but the judge shuts it down. The father is alive, and unless he's proven unfit, custody remains with him. That's not up for debate. It's the law. Before wrapping up, the judge issues one final statement. If credible evidence of neglect emerges, the case could be revisited. But for now, the grandmother's claims lack substance. The ruling stands. Case closed.
Anything further from you?
No, Your Honor.
Anything else from you?
What if the child wants to come live with me?
Well, she's 6 and you're not her parent. So she does not get to make that call. Now, dad starts doing something, like if it's actually proven that he's being neglectful and going to bars or anything like that, and the child ends up living with you, then yeah, but you're not the parent. So unfortunately, I can't do anything about that. Okay, if there's nothing further, you all are dismissed.
And that's the reality of the legal system. The grandmother believed love should outweigh legal rights, but the court doesn't work that way. Parental rights aren't determined by emotion, they're dictated by law. No matter how much support she provided, it didn't grant her greater authority. The father, despite any personal flaws, remains the rightful parent. Unless something drastic changes, that fact stands firm. This case is a clear reminder that legality and morality don't always align. The grandmother's role was meaningful, but it wasn't enough to override the father's legal claim. In the end, the law isn't swayed by feelings. It stands on facts.